The Outsider by Albert Camus. It's one of the few novels that I've read twice in my life. The first time in 1964 when I was 17, and then again the second in 2009 when I was much older, as part of my then reading group. When I first read it, this book made a profound impression on me. It was one of the first serious books that I'd found for myself. I didn't study literature at school. And the main character in it is a guy called Meursault, and it starts with him committing this motiveless murder. He murders an Algerian on the beach, and then the book carries on, describes his fate. He ends up in court and he ends up being sentenced for the murder. And one of the kind of central features of the book is Meursault's inability to confess to feelings that he doesn't have, that he wants to be honest and authentic about his feelings. And of course that leads him into lots of trouble with the law, and it makes his sentence and his fate far more drastic than it might have been perhaps if he could have manufactured some feelings. When I read this, I don't think I was alone in this. It was a very popular book at the time when I read it. He seemed like a kind of existential hero, Meursault. He was being honest and trying to be authentic, and he was describing the society he lived in as a kind of hypocritical conspiracy, really, whereby you had to express standard loyalties to the church and to your school and to the state. And that's how the world felt to me, really, at the beginning of the 1960s. Of course, the 1960s blew most of that away for many of us. Interestingly, when I came to it again in 2009, expecting or remembering the profound effect it had on me when I was younger, it had much less of that. Meursault didn't seem like a heroic character at all. He came across as lacking in feeling, and unable to justify his actions, and self-regarding, and it's really, really interesting that the contrast, the book's the same, but I'm not and the world's not, and it's an interesting index, really, for somebody, I think, who, like me, who read it then and read it again. It's still beautifully written. The prose is wonderful, wonderful, clean, clear detail. So the sun, the heat, the sea, the beach, the streets, the courthouse and the prison cell that he ends up in. I mean, they're all beautifully evoked. And it's a classic book. I'd still recommend it. But it's not the challenge to the times that we live in that it certainly felt when I first read it. So, I would still strongly recommend it. I'd be very interested to know how much younger people come into it for the first time find it, and whether they see what I saw that many others saw then or not.